The brands don't always carry across. I never did Joe Blow to build boss money. It's almost like a bit of therapy. But I remember I said, what did podcast teaching you? And you said, it teaches you to listen. And it really did. And I was no good at it.
What does your preparation research look like for your conversations?
The research is pretty intense. I try and dig up everything I can about them. Then it's interesting, you do a podcast and they'll go, can you cut that out? And that was really good. Finding the client, doing the research to the podcast going out there, it's unbelievable amount of work.
What about asking someone to do it? How do you go about it? And what are the reactions you get from people?
I think most people get pretty excited. Initially, I was just asking people, and then I went into a bit of a script.
Does the business really get nothing out of it?
I never, ever thought about the money side of it.
Why put more time, effort, and money into podcasting?
I think the podcasting is good in the sense that they can see your personality, but you know what? It's not for everyone.
When people rock up to the recording space, do you do anything particular, and do you have a plan in place?
Interesting question.
Welcome back to the Clear Shot podcast. My name's Nick Robinson. Today I'm joined by Tom from the Joe Blow podcast, better known for his finance business, Boss Money. Tom's Joe Blow podcast is a bit of a passion project featuring a collection of amazing stories about everyday people. His podcasting style is freewheeling, genuine conversations, and true to form. Tom's promised to be pretty frank and honest today and tell us a little bit about what he's learned about podcasting along the way and what he's still finding a struggle. Thanks very much for coming in, Tom.
Thank you for the invite. It's good to be on the other side.
I like to do these things because, there's lots of people who are thinking about starting shows or thinking about putting something together. And I think people that have been through it can offer a lot of insight. So I wanted to start, and the big thing I want to try to understand from you is why you have a podcast and what you get out of it.
I initially started the podcast because for years I've always wanted to do one. But you look at all the greats out there and you think, oh my God, could I really do one? And what's involved and everything like that. And eventually I thought, I'm into challenging myself in all aspects of life. And this was one of them. I thought I'd love to do a podcast. Plus I'd had a list of people already that had amazing stories and I'd heard them and I thought, how good would it be for everyone else to hear them? And that was where it initially came from. Because you said a couple of things to me early on. I got two bits of good advice from you. One is I said, what did podcast teaching you? And you said, it teaches you to listen. And it really did. And I was no good at it. I'd be like asking questions and just
jumping.
Or telling them, they'd say, oh, I went through and did this, this, and this. Yeah, so did I. I did this, this, and this. And then the conversation's like, oh.
Are we talking about you now? Yeah. Do you think that it's helped you in that part of your life as well? You say you'd never listen, but do you think you've taken that skill set into business as well?
Definitely. It's definitely helped with communication.
So I mentioned in the intro that you've got another business, Boss Money, which is a mortgage broking business, and that you've also started Unstoppable, a business helping people stop drinking. Are you hoping that one brand will sort of cross-pollinate or cross-populate with the other?
The brands don't always carry across. I never did Joe Blow to build Boss Money. It was more of a challenge, a venture. I wanted to do it, see what it was like. I'd seen people podcast. And look, I love 60% of it. And the 40% is
difficult.
Yeah,
it's extra.
Yeah,
Well, can you give me a bit about the process you went through? You set up at home first? Did you go to
No, I pretty much, look, initially I set up in the back of a warehouse from a mate in Tenerife, and I'd bought chairs, we bought all the equipment and set all that up and we did it, and it was amateurish hour, but it didn't cost anything and it was just for fun. But yeah, that's where it initially started, was just that, and I already had a list of people I wanted to talk to. I'm lucky I do have a large client base, so I sort of just went through that and found people I really wanted to chat to. So it was just, that was the process, and it was sort of do one a week.
Yeah, good luck, yeah.
Do one a week, you'll be right. And I'm thinking, and you're doing all the research, I'm going, it's probably an hour of work. And, I don't have to tell you to suck eggs, but it's not an hour of work. It's massive.
Yeah.
That's the mind-blowing thing that blew me. And my podcasts are not Stephen Bartlett.
No.
They're like really basic and they look basic, and the only thing that looks good is the studio, and I feel like everything else is, my skills are basic, the editing's basic, and then it's just like, and you'll probably ask this, but from finding the client, doing the research to the podcast going out there, it's unbelievable amount of work. Like the podcast, researching, coming to the podcast, stressed, nervous, out of your comfort zone. In your head you think it's live, but it's not live, but you're there going, oh, he can cut all this, but you still feel like you're live. And then you're getting podcast hangover, and then it's the editing and the shorts for Instagram, and then posting it all out there, and then doom. And some go really well, and some are just terrible.
Well, not that they're terrible. They don't do as well.
Yeah. And then you start. It's the similar. It's no different to Instagram. I'll post something and I might get 600,000 views, which is my highest ever, and then I'll post something else and think this is amazing.
Great.
I'm saving people millions. I can saving them this and that, and 5 views.
Yeah. So, if we can talk about your podcast and the people that you get on, and you mentioned you do a bit of research and a bit of prep. What does your preparation, research, planning look like for your conversations? And what do you give the guest at the same time?
Interesting question. The research is pretty intense. I try and dig up everything I can about them. Obviously, you can these days with AI and you Google and everything like that. So I try and dig up enough about them. I do ask them, is there anything off limits?
What do most people say?
No, but then it's interesting. You'll do a podcast and they'll go, can you cut that out? I'm like, that was really good. You're talking about your dad who's a cult leader, and I'm like, can I get in there a lot more? And that's the part I also find difficult is you get an interesting part and you wish you'd dug a bit deeper, but you feel like, oh, can I? But it's not live, you should.
Yeah, well, you should.
Yeah, but I don't.
Do you think you do it more than you did 10 episodes ago? Like you say,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely more comfortable, and I do love it.
And the guests must pick up on that.
Hopefully. Have a little bit of an upbeat personality, so it helps, but there are times in podcasts where I'm so bored.
Really?
Yeah, and I sit there just like, and I don't know how to do. I know the guys edit it online, like your Bartletts, your Jay Shetty's, and your Rogans, but at times I'm just there going, stop talking.
This isn't for me.
Like, come on, no one wants to know this.
That is interesting.
And like, how do you hurry them up?
Yes.
That's it, mate. I
do talk often about. So, one of the things that we get asked occasionally is, can you bring in a host? When someone, like particularly from a corporate perspective, if they go, we want to do a podcast series on this, it is absolutely a skill set in leading a conversation where you want to go. So there's something to that. Like it's not being rude. You're here for a reason. You want to get a certain story done. You're allowed to try to bring people around the way you want them to go. Stop talking about that. I want to talk about this.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah.
And because you're time limited too, There's a guy knocking on the door here. Come on, mate, I've got someone else. And I'm like, didn't scratch the surface because you spent so much time talking about
the thing you want to talk about.
Yeah, so I do about 2 hours before a podcast. I'll write notes, and I'll just keep shrinking them like I've always done for presentations till I get all my main points.
Yeah.
And then I guess you fly into it. And at the time, I guess I'm trying to, and that's a difficult part. You're talking to them and you've got what you want to talk about and you're trying to, and then they say something and you're like, I want to get more out of that, and I'm trying to write notes to tell myself, can you take me back to when you said, you stabbed that person or whatever? You're trying to.
And your dad wasn't a cult leader anymore. Yeah.
I don't want to know about you working in a department store. Can we go back to the cult leader, Dad?
So I want to talk about welcoming people to the space, getting them comfortable, and then starting a conversation into, diving deeper into the conversation. So do you do anything special, and do you have a plan in place?
B, I don't have a plan in place. A, it will sound arrogant that I sort of go with my personality and just have a chat and try and break the ice about something, but I don't have a plan. It'll be just something just works. I could probably be better at that. If there is a system, I'd like to learn it, but I try and just... It's probably a little bit too much. Right, sit down, let's go. I mean, I hate doing the intro because it's so scripted and, oh, here I have today
Yeah.
Nick Robinson in 1984. He
Yeah.
was, and it's like, oh, and I feel like it's
That's not what real life is like. That's not what conversations are like.
Yeah.
The show that you create is a conversation, but listeners do need a bit of context. So what's the happy medium there is a pretty good question. One of the things that happens is people warm into conversations. Do you find that happens, and do you have any strategies to make that happen quicker?
One reason I did Joe Blow is I love the link between, I always have with people, as in, you'll see someone homeless. There's a point in time where they were the same as you, whether that was up to 6 years old, 8 years old, 18 years old. There's a point where they're identical to you and they had all those dreams and everything, but somehow they ended up there. And I love when they come in just going, hey, Nick, I know where you are today. To give me some context, like, what were you like as a 15-year-old? Were you cool, daggy, nerdy? What were you like, mate? Were you into this sort of nerdy stuff?
Yeah, I was the school DJ. So setting up my AV equipment.
I'd love to see the hairstyle.
That was definitely it, yeah.
That's what I love asking people, because I find they go back and it's so interesting hearing them talk, and I can then have a look at, it really gives you a really good guide to where they are today. And some of it's very different. It's like, how the hell did you get from to this?
Yeah. What about the asking someone to do it? How do you go about it, and what are the reactions you get from people?
The podcast.
Yeah. Will you be on my show?
Because I'm famous, it's easy. No,
yeah, it's easy when you're a big deal. Yeah.
You know what? It's a really great question, because I'd love to get your feedback on it. I'll ask people and they'll go, yeah, for sure, no problems. And they'll do anything not to come on it. And I don't get that. I know people don't like to say no, but I've had 2 or 3 where great, interesting people, and I'm so excited. I'm going, how did I get this?
Yeah.
And then it's like, can you do Tuesday? No. Can you do Wednesday? When can you do? Oh, look, I don't know. Give me some other day. Can you do this? And I've gone back to them 4 or 5 times like a desperado, and they keep saying no. They don't say no.
Yeah. So you find that people say yes and seem happy to, but then try every excuse not to.
I don't know why they just don't know. Hey, it's not my thing, Tom.
Yeah, that's allowed.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, cool. And I guess, look, initially I was just asking people, and then I went into a bit of a script. I wrote, hey, this is what my podcast is about. I'd love you on it. Your story doing X would be phenomenal. People would love to hear it. And that was really working well. I think it was resonating with them.
So you often reach out to people you don't know at all?
50-50. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would see them on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and I've watched their story for a couple of years, and I'll go, I think most people get pretty excited.
That is the feedback that I would give, is that most people
are like, wow.
Oh, you want me?
Yeah. But the second part of that I find interesting is you'll get them on the podcast. Podcasts will go really good. You do all the shorts and that, and they just don't repost it to their pages.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't like the results, or they don't like how they look. It's just an odd one. And I find I've had a couple of people that have reposted, and those podcasts have gone really well. And others just, you go, keen to come on, love it.
Yeah.
They like all this. We do the shorts and they like it online, but they don't repost. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Why?
That is interesting. I wonder if you could formalise that in a way.
That's what I was wondering. Do you say, hey, one of the things for coming on the podcast is sounds a bit harsh.
It's not harsh. You are required to. We'd love if. Yeah, I suppose. Have you asked people to?
I haven't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I haven't. And that's.
You definitely should.
Yeah. Hey, I'd love if you reposted this.
Yeah, or here's the file. Please share it and tag me.
Yeah, that's a great tip going forward.
Because that's not an unreasonable request from you. And
no,
that is only if you want to, of course.
Yeah. I'll make you look good. I'll put some filters on. I've had people go, oh my God, I can't believe you used that photo of me. It looks terrible. Females only. And I'm like, that's how you look.
So is a lot of it, so cold outreach, What advice can you give people on approaching them to be on their show?
I think it's like a lot of things in life that I always use is just give people confidence. Like that is number one. Hey, loved like the guy Peter Hutton that came on. Hey, your story is pretty amazing. I find it really fascinating. Would you love to come on and talk about it? Or, Stacey I had on who I had two parts of her. She was first part, it was so big I did it in two parts, was her coming out as a lesbian, and then the second one she's got terminal cancer. And I sort of said to her, I'd love to tell your story, and I would. I didn't lie. I said you're one in my top three, and it was, as in, I find it interesting. I think that's the way to sort of just build their confidence.
Yeah, good.
Because I don't think people think their story's worthy of sitting there talking about it.
Oh, absolutely. But very, very often they are. I talk about it quite often is the things that you deal with every day aren't particularly exciting or interesting to you. However, there are lots of people that will find it interesting. I've got a question down here about, do you think you've ever gone too far? So we talked about you've pulled yourself up a few times, but has anyone ever got uncomfortable but is that the point?
Look, I wish I'd gone further. That is more the point in my eyes. Wish I'd gone further a lot of times. Mm-hmm. What held me back? Just a nice guy.
It's a politeness.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, look, there are times I've sat down and gone, I wish I'd gone a bit harder on that, or no, I don't think I've ever gone too far. No. I mean, look.
But would you have liked to?
Yeah, totally. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm inexperienced. Maybe I don't know the right sort of wording to do that. But plenty of people have cried on the podcast. Maybe is that going too far? Is that just hitting a point? But I've cried also on the podcast, being the host with the person crying. We're both crying and it's going nowhere. It's like, but they were just, yeah. No, I don't think I've gone too far.
So the people that you have on your show give you a lot of their life. Do you share much of your personal life on the show? Do you try to separate or hide that, or do you have any lines personally?
This goes back to when you told me initially the podcasting sort of taught you to listen more, and I feel like, and I've tried to go away from that. When someone says something in your mind, you're going, I've done the same, I've done the same, I've done the same. And I used to initially do that because I'm trying to relate to them. So no, I don't. They seem to just open up. I think it's the flow of questions and everything like that. I don't tell a lot of my personal stuff really. I did in the last podcast a little bit. I just feel like it's not about me. And I know at times people do switch it and they'll ask you all these questions and I just get uncomfortable. Only because I'd love to keep talking about myself.
Be quite happy to.
Yeah. More than happy to, but I just feel like it's not about me. And I feel guilty when I'm talking and I'm the host. I just feel ultra guilty, like they're going, it's not about you, mate. Put the mic down.
Yeah, okay. How do you do social? Because podcast posts do quite well, but podcast posts don't equal podcast listens.
Exactly. And that's the interesting part. So the shorts do really well. Yeah. And I love all the apps you can get, and I cuddle. The shorts go on, and I find the shorts interesting, and I love doing them because, you're cutting up little bits and you can make it pretty interesting, and, there's some teasers in there, and I do a lot of those. I do about 10 per podcast, and I find, you're spot on. They might get, 5,000 views and the podcast gets 100. I'm pretty organised in a sense that it comes from the Boss Money days. I plan my social media a week in advance, but I'm always looking at stuff that I could do and I'm always banking it. With the podcast, I'll do a podcast today and I go, that's launching in 2 weeks, and I will put a calendar together of when the shorts come out.
Have you been on other people's podcasts? That is the other one that people talk about, how to grow your audience is by going on others and trying to tap into theirs.
Well, that's what I also look at when I think of tomorrow. I started talking about doing Boss Money, and it's what I know and it's what I do love, and I never have a problem talking about it. And then I was talking to this girl and she said, you should come on our podcast tomorrow, and I'm on this buyer's agent podcast tomorrow. I think because I'm an
You will
expert
make
in my
it
field,
so
I would...
easy for them. I love that you're thinking about doing more and new things. So what value do you see in podcasting? We talked about the content side of things. You get so much out of it, but why put more time, effort, and money into podcasting?
Good question. I think it sort of shows the individual, because a lot of people hide behind stock photos or photos of themselves, and people want to see... If I put photos of myself on my social media, which obviously I do now, it's just like some bald guy with tattoos. But I think getting your personality across, people want to see, oh, he's a really good guy. He looks so normal. I know he looks like a bikie, but he's like a normal finance guy. Because I think the problem with finance, it's quite boring. It's like real estate. They're all these... We're not Red Bull.
Yep.
So I think the podcasting is good in the sense that they can see your personality. But you know what? It's not for everyone. I say that with people in some social media. I see people, and mainly real estate agents, but people doing things that are out of their comfort zone. It looks terrible. And they probably shouldn't podcast. If you're an accountant or whatever and you're like, hi, now what I'm going to talk about is, it's like, don't do it. But I think it's a brilliant avenue for businesses. I would say get on if you're that personality and you know your thing and you know something different, get on podcasts just so people can go, Nick's a really good guy, smart dude.
The last one I want to talk to you about, Tom, is just what you're listening to and why and what you get out of those shows.
As I said, I'm a Bartlett fanboy. I love his podcast. I did get to meet him too, which was pretty cool. I don't love all of his podcasts. I like maybe 2 out of 5, and other stuff I can just let go.
And do you take it purely from a entertainment perspective, or are you trying to grow, learn, evolve?
I'd say 60% learn, evolve, 40% entertainment. Also, I think trying to be in this headspace, I'm watching what he's doing all the time.
Do you see what one of the ones which I think we may consider investing in is they've gotten rid of the microphones?
Yeah.
They've got drop-down mics now.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want anything between them.
Yeah, which is interesting. I know he does the temperature in the rooms and I mean, obviously he spends a lot of money, but there's little things he does which I changed things in my podcast because I look at a lot of the stats too, and a lot of people were dropping off really early.
Yeah.
And the start of our podcast was like straight into it.
Yep.
You know, and we had this big intro thing. I got this, I paid $500 to get this music done and all that sort of stuff. Now I've cut it to, but that used to go a lot longer. And then we used to just start talking, and we found 85% of people just left. And I went back to one of his podcasts, and he was like, he studied that and he changed the first 8 seconds of his podcasts. And he made them more that's why you can see at the start of his, it's a summary of who the guy is and what he does, and it's all cutting out when they're about to say something. You know, if you want to lose 100 kilos, I changed to do all that, and it made all the difference. Like It kept people and now I think 86% go till 70% or 80 or whatever, but it changed it. And
so
I thought,
when people click on, they click on.
Yeah. So the dude spent a lot of money and time, so why wouldn't you
learn what you can? Yeah.
Well, what do you listen to? Apart from Joe Blow.
I like a overly produced podcast.
Do you?
Yeah. So I like the short history of. So like a history podcast. I like there's an entertainment one with Richard Osman, where it's mostly about the UK entertainment industry. But they're my 2 big ones at the moment. And then Joe Blow.
3, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Won't be booking this studio again.
Yeah.
What would you do different in your podcast if sort of money and time wasn't an issue?
I would make it heavily produced. I'd turn it into a story. So I would interview you. I'd interview the last 4 or 5 people that have been on your podcast. I'd have clips ready to show you and have you react to them. I'd record 8 hours of footage and I'd cut it down to 40 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. I like the conversations, and I can understand why people enjoy that because it's never really been done before. So, you know, TV has always been 22 minutes, 48 minutes. And then it said that's what you had to plug it into. So you weren't able to just let people sit and chat. So then when podcasts came along, it was this long conversation. And Joe Rogan really was the pioneer of that. And people enjoy that. It's background noise sometimes, but it's also long drive stuff. It's absolutely got its place. I like an overly produced, like, give me all the best information, take me on a journey, end an episode with me wanting to listen to another episode.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
They both have a place.
I agree. I think because it's so saturated now, I almost feel like
The saturation's a thing.
yeah, Joe Blow is better. I interview someone for an hour, and that'll be 10 2-minute shorts, and that's it. I don't do a long one.
Yeah, okay.
Or I launch a long one, but I don't really care if anyone listens to it. But it's all about, I feel like that's where attention spans are at, and everyone's so caught up in their own world. It's like, yeah, I don't know who.
I think the thing to think about there is the value proposition of a community. So if someone does this or swipes past a video and enjoys it, it's out of their world immediately. But if they're going to sit down and listen to you for 45 minutes, they care and want to know more about it. And I think that comes and goes in waves as well. So sometimes people are going to be just wanting to be here, and there's no connection in that. But when they're trying to be part of a bigger thing, those longer conversations, I think, are going to be more important and just important in general.
Yeah, and I think your point about doing more on the social front than just sort of doing the shorts and the podcast, I get that now, because that's what I do. It's like me, if Boss Money, if I did 2 posts a week on how to save money, it's like people like all the funny shit and the skits, and then Tom's hiking or doing whatever. It's his personal life. I love that. I love this, and they're starting to go, I'm going to use him next time.
Yep.
Whereas, you're dead right. I think that's what probably most the social pages
That's the big
lack.
ones, yeah.
It's like, here's 4 shorts, here's the podcast just came out.
Yeah, come on.
See you guys in 3 weeks. Nothing else going to be posted here. And like, what are the 500 followers going to do?
Be happy that your shorts are getting views. If that's all you need to get, then that's okay. So what's next for you in podcasting, and what do you think you've learnt so far from the Joe Blow podcast?
I still want a podcast because I love it. And Joe Blow's taught me a lot about the whole system, from here to once it comes out. I've learnt so much. It's incredible, which has helped my other part of my life. And I'm now thinking, why don't I produce a unique, different podcast that works for my business, Boss Money? Because there's plenty of finance podcasts out there, but I've been working on something the last week of just doing a podcast that's more around that, called Boss 15, which will be like 15 minutes, and it'll be different. It could be a finance tip, which, I know it's boring. It could be a whiteboard thing. It could be guests in here. It could be a bit of a panel. It'll just be a little bit different on the finance side.
What you're talking about is something that has a wider reach, right? That'll get lots of followers and lots of views. That is different to something we sell in here quite often, which is a getting to know you brand style podcast. So which is this one. So the Clear Shot podcast, the reason it exists is people might want to get to know us. This content isn't super wide reaching. It's for people who want to create some content themselves. So this podcast this conversation doesn't need to reach 100,000 people, but it might reach 2 or 3 that become clients. So if you want to talk to clients versus get a big wide audience, that's a different type of podcast. So you don't want to. I feel like I know you well enough that I feel like I know what you want to do, but that is interesting and difficult to figure out. What type of content's going to resonate.
But I've had other podcasts where I've just loved it and gone, that was a cracker. This is going to go off. It just doesn't.
But occasionally it does.
Yeah, there's plenty that, when I looked at YouTube, Spotify and Apple, I've had 50,000 streams.
Yeah, it's great.
It's pretty good.
It's really good.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
Wouldn't have a clue.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
And all of a sudden I see Stephen Bartlett and it's like 2.8 million viewed that episode.
That episode, yeah.
And I'm like if I get 1,000, it's good. But interesting, I'm in this, you've probably seen it, there's like podcast groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
And people are on there and they're new. And some people have the most phenomenal results. And their podcast is, Gardening with Jimmy.
Oh, people, yeah.
And he'll go, guys, and they'll post their results. I've been in this for 3 months. I've done like huge amount of 68 podcasts, and I got 40,000 streams for my last one. I'm like, I got 1,000.
Yeah.
And it's something odd, but it's like you said, it goes back to that community thing. I bet you their pages, Gardening with Jimmy had so many views. And because that's...
Yeah, the connection between social and podcast is certainly one, but it doesn't equal views. Sorry, it doesn't equal listens.
And I think you've got to get away from that as well. Like I kept saying to myself,
podcast is
what are you doing this for? And I was doing it as a challenge. And I feel like after 25 podcasts, apparently that's in the top 1% of the world. People die after the first 5 or 10. So which was pretty good. I'm not saying it's dead, but I'm going to evolve it and change it and just try something different. I just need to know, obviously, what the hook is. Or do I care? Like,
it doesn't matter.
Stop getting caught up on, I want 1,000 views.
Yeah.
And that's the question I ask you, I guess, is...
What's good?
What should people do? No, what should people...
That is...
what are you doing a podcast for?
Yeah, we are a production house. And one of the things we're good at is creating content you can hear, content you can see that looks nice. How to get people to listen to it is a very different conversation.
But
and
like you said, you made a good point.
Yeah.
You do that for 2 or 3 people. You're not doing it for, I want 2 million views on how to start your first podcast. You want 3 people to go, I'm going to use that studio. Looks good. And you know what? They get to see you. Sounds like a good guy. Sounds like he won't rip me off. Looks slick. Studio looks good.
See if I can turn it into something.
Yeah, no, you reckon you can.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, sir. It was good.